Imagine dragging a 10-ton granite block up a cliff, your bare feet slipping on Andes mud, the air so thin your lungs scream. It's the 1450s and you're an Inca stonemason at Machu Picchu building a city that defies gravity and logic. No wheels, no iron tools, just you some ropes and a knack for carving stone so precisely a knife blade can't slip between the joints. The quarry's a mile below and every block's hauled by hand, sweat mixing with dust until you're more grit than human. They say the stones were cut with such eerie perfection that even the gods nodded in approval. Modern engineers still scratch their heads muttering about lasers or aliens. Sorry folks, it was just stubborn Inca know-how. Picture the scene you're chiselling with flint, the stone's grain fighting back while llamas bleat and the sun scorches your neck. One wrong cut and the block's ruin tumbling down the slope like your dreams of a lunch break. Sarcasm aside, the precision's uncanny. Some stones weigh as much as a car fitted so tight you'd swear they grew together. The Inca didn't just build, they sculpted a mountain, leaving a puzzle that still mocks our cranes and computers. Like Cher, tell us what's the wildest engineering feat you've heard of. You're Michelangelo, 1508 neck craned backward, clinging to a rickety scaffold in Rome's Sistine Chapel. Paint drips into your eyes, stinging like a wasp, and the lead in those vibrant blues and reds is probably frying your brain. Each stroke of your brush births angels, but your spine's screaming louder than the Pope's demands for faster. You're painting 12,000 square feet of ceiling alone, because assistants are for quitters. The air's thick with plaster dust and the reek of toxic pigments, think rotten eggs mixed with regret. By dusk your vision blurs and you're half blind from fumes, yet you keep going because quitting means the Pope wins. Fun fact, those paints were so nasty they could have killed you before the back pain did. Imagine modern OSHA seeing this hard hat safety harness. Nah, just genius and grit. You're sculpting heaven while your body begs for hell, and the church calls it divine. Every dab of colour's a defiance, a middle finger to gravity and good sense. Like Cher, drop your wildest art horror story in the comments. You stand atop Machu Picchu's highest terrace, 1450s, the Andes, wind clawing at your woven cloak as you squint at the stars. The Inca didn't just build a city, they carved a cosmic map aligning stones to track solstices with eerie precision. Picture it a granite slab heavier than a herd of llamas, positioned so the sun's first ray on June 21st slices through its edge like a blade. No telescopes, no math as we know it, just priests and stargazers reading the heavens, their calculations etched in rock. One misstep and the gods might turn their backs, leaving crops to wither or rains to vanish. The Intihuatana stone, the hitching post of the sun, hums with purpose, or so the priests swear, binding the sun's path to the earth. Modern scientists still gape, calling it a solar clock. You'd call it a gamble with the cosmos. The air's sharp, the silence heavier than the stones, and you feel the mountain watching. Sarcasm check, who needs GPS when you've got a rock and a prayer? Like Cher, tell us what's the strangest ancient tech you've stumbled across. It's 1510 and you're Michelangelo trapped in the Sistine Chapel. Pope Julius II barking for his frescoes like a king demanding dinner. 4 years to paint 12,000 square feet of heaven, sure no pressure except your back's breaking, and the Pope's temper is a guillotine. You're slathering plaster on a curved ceiling racing against drying time while Julius stomps in yelling, "When will it be done? Sleep's a myth." You're fueled by rage and stale bread. Here's the kicker, you sneak anatomical sketches into the frescoes, brains, kidneys, maybe a jab at the church's dogma hidden in plain sight among the prophets. The paint's fumes choke you, the scaffold wobbles, and yet you keep going because genius doesn't negotiate. Modern equivalent. Imagine your boss micromanaging your magnum opus while you're on a ladder with no Wi-Fi. Sarcasm alert, sure Pope. I'll finish by lunch right after I invent ibuprofen. Like Cher, drop your wildest deadline horror story in the comments. You're trudging through Machu Picchu's misty terraces 1470s, the air thick with the scent of damp stone and jungle rot. The Inca city hums with life until it doesn't. One day the stonemasons, priests and weavers vanish, leaving half-finished walls and silent looms. No battle scars, no charred ruins, just an eerie stillness, as if the mountain itself swallowed them. Whispers of smallpox from Spanish invaders linger, or maybe rebellion tore the city apart, no one knows. The streets once alive with llama hooves and chanted prayers now echo only wind. Imagine the last soul departing, glancing back at the Intihuatana stone, its solar shadow frozen. Modern analogy. It's like a ghost town trending on X, but with 0 hashtags to explain why. Suspense clings like fog. Did the gods call them home, or did disease outrun their prayers? Like Cher, tell us what's the creepiest abandoned place you've read about. You're Michelangelo, 1511, perched on a creaking scaffold in the Sistine Chapel, brushing azure across a prophet's robe. The paint's lead-heavy, its fumes curling into your lungs like a vengeful ghost. Each dab of vermilion or ultramarine ground from minerals that could kill a horse makes your head spin, your fingers tremble. Your eyes burn as pigment flecks fall, mixing with sweat into a gritty paste. Renaissance artists knew the deal. These colours, vivid as heaven, were a one-way ticket to dizziness, maybe madness. Imagine painting paradise while your body's screaming this is your last masterpiece. Sarcasm check. Sure, Michelangelo keeps sniffing the lead OSHA's not invented yet. The chapel glows, but your headache's brighter, pulsing like the Pope's impatience. Modern vibe. It's like chugging energy drinks to meet a deadline, except the drink's trying to kill you. Like Cher, drop your wildest workplace hazard story in the comments. You're clawing your way up a Machu Picchu hillside, 1450s mud sucking at your sandals as you haul maize to a terrace carved into the Andes' spine. The Inca didn't just farm, they wrestled gravity, sculpting steep slopes into stepped fields that laugh at erosion. Each terrace propped by stone walls holds soil so stubborn it feeds crops at 8,000 feet. Potatoes, quinoa defying the mountain's will. Picture it, you're piling dirt rain, stinging your face while the cliff below yawns like a hungry god. No machines, just hands and stubbornness building a farm where clouds graze. Modern take, it's like starting a rooftop garden on Everest, but with worse Wi-Fi. Sarcasm alert, who needs flat land when you've got a vertical death trap? The terraces stand smug, as if daring the rains to try harder. Like Cher, tell us what's the most insane farming hack you've heard of. It's 1512 and you're Michelangelo smearing plaster in the Sistine Chapel, your brush hiding secrets in plain sight. Amid the angels and prophets you slip in anatomical sketches, brains, kidneys, maybe a spine etched into clouds, and robes a sly jab at the church's ban on dissection. Every stroke's a gamble. If the Pope spots your heresy, you're toast. The scaffold sways your necks a knot, but you keep painting smirking into the gloom. These aren't just doodles, they're defiance proof you dissected corpses in secret to master the body's truth. Suspense hums, one wrong glance from a cardinal and your masterpiece is a scaffold to the gallows. Modern vibe. It's like sneaking Easter eggs into a corporate presentation but with higher stakes. Sarcasm check. Sure, Pope, it's just a cloud, definitely not a kidney. Like Cher, drop your wildest hidden message story in the comments. You're trudging behind a llama caravan in the 1450s Andes, dust choking your throat as you climb toward Machu Picchu. These shaggy beasts loaded with maize and stone tools are the Inca's delivery service, picking their way along cliffside trails where one slip means a long drop. They're bleating echoes off crags, mixing with the crunch of gravel underfoot, as you dodge their spit because yes, llamas aim. Each pack carries up to 50 pounds, hauling supplies for a city perched where eagles dare. No wheels, no horses, just these stubborn woolly couriers keeping Machu Picchu alive. Modern take, it's like Uber Eats, but your driver's a grumpy camelid with no GPS. Sarcasm alert, who needs drones when you've got llamas with attitude? The trail's so narrow your heart races, but the llamas just plod on unfazed. Like Cher, tell us what's the weirdest delivery system you've come across. It's 1512 Rome? And the Sistine Chapel's doors swing open, unleashing a mob of gawking nobles and priests onto Michelangelo's freshly painted ceiling. You're there, crushed in the crowd, neck craned to see angels and prophets glowing above, while sweat and incense clog the air. Michelangelo exhausted watches from a corner his back a wreck after 4 years of scaffold torture. The frescoes dazzle 12,000 square feet of divine fury, but the crowd's chaos is a circus with gasps and shouts drowning out prayers. Fun fact, some called it too bold, too human, like a Renaissance comic book dropped in a cathedral. Sarcasm check art critics. More like art groupies trampling for a view, modern vibe. Picture a gallery opening with no velvet ropes and worse manners. Your eyes burn from staring, but Michelangelo's masterpiece burns brighter. Like Cher, drop your wildest event crowd story in the comments. You're weaving through Machu Picchu's stone alleys 1450s, where water hums through channels carved so slick they mock the mountain's chaos. The Inca didn't just pipe water, they sculpted it, guiding springs into ritual fountains that gurgle like whispered prayers. Each channel, chiseled by hand, snakes through granite with eerie precision, feeding baths where priests cleansed for the sun god. The air's damp, the water's chill stings your fingers, and the silence feels like the mountain's holding its breath. No pumps, no pipes, just stone and gravity delivering water cleaner than your average medieval stew. Modern take is like plumbing fit for a deity with 0 Home Depot runs. Eerie vibe, who were these fountains for when the city emptied, the water still flows as if waiting for ghosts to drink. Like Cher, tell us what's the strangest ancient engineering you've stumbled on. Your Michelangelo 1511 teetering on a scaffold in the Sistine Chapel, your eyes burning as if kissed by embers. Paint fumes laced with lead and malice claw at your vision, turning angels into smudges as you brush another stroke. Each dab of crimson or gold cost you blurred sight, pounding headaches, a body betraying its genius. You're painting heaven while hell creeps into your retinas, yet you snarl and keep going because the Pope's deadline doesn't care about your eyes. In fact, those toxic pigments could blind a lesser man, but you're too stubborn to quit. Sarcasm check, sure, Michelangelo keeps squinting 2020's overrated when you're sculpting divinity. Modern vibe. It's like pulling an all-nighter on a toxic startup project, screen, glare and all. The ceiling glows, but your fury burns hotter. Like Cher, drop your wildest vision-risking story in the comments. You were an Inca stonemason in the 1450s, crouched in a Machu Picchu quarry, flint in hand, chiselling a granite block that could crush you like an ant. The goal-shaped stones so perfect they slot together tighter than a miser's purse, no mortar needed. One wrong strike and the block splits, tumbling into the gorge below your day's work, a jagged ruin. The air's thick with dust, your palms bleed, and the mountain looms, daring you to fail. Trial and errors, the name of the game, failed, stones litter, hidden quarries, proof even the Inca weren't flawless. Suspense grips you one slip and the god's temple stays unfinished. Modern take it Stone Jenga Inca edition with stakes higher than your Wi-Fi bill. Sarcasm, check who needs power tools when you've got grit and a grudge. Like Cher, tell us what's the most nerve-wracking DIY fail you've ever tackled. Your Michelangelo 1510 climbing a scaffold in the Sistine Chapel that sways like a drunkard's promise. Each step creaks planks wobbling under your weight as you haul paint and plaster 60 feet up to paint heaven itself. One misstep and you're a Renaissance pancake on the marble below. The air's sour with sweat and pigment fumes. Your neck's a knot, yet you keep climbing because Pope Julius doesn't do safety first. These scaffolds, jury-rigged from wood and rope, are less engineering marvel, more death trap. Sarcasm alert, OSHA. Never heard of her, try praying the ropes hold. Modern vibe. It's like working from a ladder during a Zoom call with your boss yelling paint faster. The ceiling's divine, but the climb's a nightmare. Like Cher, drop your wildest workplace safety horror in the comments. You're wandering Machu Picchu's stone corridors 1450s, the Andes fog, curling like a secret kept by the mountains. Was this city a royal retreat for Inca emperors, a sacred pilgrimage site, or something stranger? Temples align with stars, granite walls guard silent plazas, but no one left a manual. The air hums with mystery, each carved stone whispering of rituals or rulers now dust. Some say it was a cosmic observatory, others a hideout from rebellion. Either way, its purpose vanished with its people. Eerie vibe, the city feels alive, watching as if waiting for someone to return. Modern take, it's the Inca's VIP hideout, no guest list included. Suspense clings like damp moss. What secrets did these stones bury? Like Cher, tell us what's the most mysterious historical site you've pondered. Your Michelangelo 1510 in the Sistine Chapel, your paintbrush trembling, not from fumes, but from Pope Julius II's latest tantrum. He storms in demanding more gold, more angels, as if you're churning out frescoes like a Renaissance vending machine. You argue back, because of course you do, insisting the design's perfect, your voice sharp enough to chip marble. Every clash is a gamble. Julius could exile you, but you're too stubborn to bend, hiding your defiance in the curves of a prophet's robe. In fact, these spats shape the ceiling's audacity, each stroke a rebellion against papal meddling. Sarcasm check, sure Pope tweak the masterpiece, nothing screams divine like micromanaging. Modern vibe. It's like arguing with a client who thinks Comic Sans is high art. Your genius holds but the fights leave scars. Like share drop your wildest boss battle story in the comments. You're an Inca worker, 1450 says, stepping onto a rope bridge slung across an Andes gorge. Machu Picchu's peaks looming above. Woven from grass, the bridge sways like a drunk spider's web, creaking under your weight as you clutch a sack of quinoa. Below, a river roars hungry for one wrong step, while wind howls through the chasm, daring you to flinch. These bridges, rebuilt yearly by hand, were the Incas' lifelines linking quarries to the city fall, and you're a sacrifice to gravity. Your heart pounds louder than the llama's hooves behind you, their bleats mocking your nerves. Modern take, it's like crossing a rickety festival zipline, but your prize is survival, not a selfie. Sarcasm, check who needs guardrails when you've got guts, and a prayer suspense grips one gust and the gorge claims you. Like share, tell us what's the sketchiest bridge you've ever crossed. You're Michelangelo 1512 staggering from the Sistine Chapel, your body a wreck after 4 years of painting heaven on a ceiling. Your spine's twisted like a gnarled olive tree. Each step a reminder of scaffold fumes and Pope Julius's relentless deadlines. The frescoes, 12,000 square feet of divine wrath and glory, dazzle the world, but they've carved their own masterpiece into your bones. Lead poisoning from toxic paints lingers your vision dim, your hands shaky, yet the ceiling's angels outshine your pain. Poetic truth, you broke your body to birth eternity, a trade only a mad genius would make. Modern vibe, it's like crunching a decade-long project only to limp away with carpal tunnel and no bonus. Sarcasm aside, your art defies time, but your scars scream louder. Like share, drop your wildest physical cost of passion story in the comments. You're alone in Machu Picchu, 1530s, the once bustling Inca city. Now a hollow shell, its stone terraces swallowed by mist. After the Spanish conquest, the laughter of weavers and chants of priests vanished, leaving only wind whistling through granite corridors. No bones, no blood, just empty homes and cold altars, as if the mountain reclaimed its own. The Intihuatana stone stands silent, no longer binding the sun, its shadow frozen like a forgotten promise. Was it smallpox rebellion or something unspoken that emptied this place? The silence is heavier than the stones pressing against your chest like a warning. Modern take, it's the ultimate no-show party with 0 RSVPs. Sarcasm check. Who needs residence when you've got fog and mystery for neighbours? Like share, tell us, what's the eeriest abandoned place you've imagined wandering? Step back from Machu Picchu's stones and the Sistine Chapel's frescoes, and see the madness binding them, humans defying nature gods, and their own breaking bodies. The Inca hauled granite up cliffs, carving a city to kiss the stars, while Michelangelo, half-blind and hunch-painted heaven under a tyrant's glare. Both bled for their masterpieces sweat in the Andes' spine in Rome, driven by a fever no modern hustle could match. Their works endure mocking time, but the cost was carved into their bones, their eyes, their souls. Reflective truth genius is pain-etched in stone and paint a cosmic bet against mortality. Modern vibe. It's like coding a game-changer app while your laptop fries and your sanity quits. Sarcasm aside, their obsession built wonders we gawk at today. Like share, tell us what's the wildest historical feat of passion you've come across. You're a samurai in 1860s Japan, your katana gleaming in a dojo's dim light when a strange hum interrupts the silent telegraph wires strung like spiderwebs across your village. The Meiji era's dawn is shoving your world of Bushido into the dust, replaced by clicks and clacks from a wooden box spitting coded messages. You grip your sword, but these wires pulsing with Western magic mock your steel. They carry words faster than any horse. Imagine slicing one down useless, they'd just string another. The air smells of cedar and change, the clicks jarring like a stranger's laugh in a temple. Modern take, it's like your flip phone dying the day Wi-Fi arrives. Sarcasm checks swords out, telegraphs and guess which one wins the future. The The dojo's quiet, but the wires hum, heralding a world you don't fit. Like, Cher, tell us what's the weirdest tech clash you've seen. It's 1863 and you're Abraham Lincoln pacing the War Department's telegraph office, the air thick with cigar smoke and dread. The telegraph's clattering dots and dashes spit out battle updates. Gettysburg's blood, Vicksburg's fall like a heartbeat of a nation tearing itself apart. You lean over the operator eyes burning from sleepless nights, as each click could mean victory or ruin. This machine wiring words across miles is your lifeline, turning generals' scribbles into real-time fate. Suspense hums, one message could end the war or your presidency. Modern vibe. It's like doom-scrolling X for breaking news, except the stakes are a country's soul. Sarcasm aside, you're glued to the chatter, a president haunted by electric pulses. Like, Cher, drop your wildest high-stakes tech moment in the comments. You're in a Paris office, 1865, where Giovanni Caselli's pantelegraph hums like a mechanical seance, its needles scratching ink onto paper. This machine, the world's first fax, sends sketches and signatures over telegraph lines, ghostly images crawling through cables across continents. The air's sharp with ozone and ink, the whirring gears sounding like a clock racing toward the future. Each transmission feels uncanny, as if words and pictures are haunting wires delivered miles away in minutes. Imagine Parisians gawking, half expecting spirits to spill from the paper. Modern take, it's the OG instant message minus the emojis. Sarcasm check, who needs ravens when you've got a box that spits pictures? The machine's eerie hum promises a world shrunk by wires. Like, Cher, tell us what's the strangest old-school tech you've heard of. You're a samurai in 1860s Japan, your katana now sharing space with a Western rifle, its cold steel alien in your calloused hands. The Meiji restoration's forcing you to trade Bushido's honor for gunpowder's bite, each shot a betrayal of the blade you swore by. The rifle's kick bruises your shoulder, its smoke stings your eyes, and the dojo's silence is shattered by blasts. You're a warrior of tradition. Yet here you are learning to aim like a foreigner, your code crumbling under progress's weight. Visceral truth honor bends when bullets fly faster than swords. Modern vibe. It's like swapping your vinyl for a streaming app, effective, but it stings. Sarcasm, check katanas are so last dynasty, right? The rifle's yours, but your soul's still samurai. Like, Cher, drop your wildest tradition versus tech story in the comments. You're Abraham Lincoln, 1864, hunched in the White House's telegraph room where the air's thick with ink and tension. The telegraph's relentless clatter delivers battle reports, Antietam's carnage. Sherman's march like a pulse from a bleeding nation. Each dot and dash could spell triumph or disaster, and you're glued to the machine, your stovepipe hat forgotten in the corner. The operator's fingers dance decoding news faster than any courier, while your heart races with every pause. Suspense chokes the room. One message could shift the Civil War's tide or drown your Union dreams. Modern vibe. It's like refreshing X for election results, but with a country's soul on the line. Sarcasm aside, you're wired to the war, a president tethered to electric whispers. Like, Cher, tell us what's the most nerve-wracking real-time update you've waited for. It's 1877 Japan and you're a samurai in the Satsuma Rebellion. Your katana flashing against a world that's traded honor for progress. The Meiji government's rifles and cannons roar, drowning your blade's song as you charge with rebels clinging to Bushido's fading code. Smoke stings your lungs, blood soaks the earth, and the air hums with an eerie truth. Swords can't outrun bullets. The rebellion fizzles, crushed by a modern army, leaving your warrior caste a ghost in a wired world. Picture the last stand, your armor clanking, knowing traditions are losing bet. Modern take, it's like staging a vinyl revival against streaming giants, noble but doomed. Sarcasm, check nice try samurai, but progress doesn't RSVP to rebellions. Like, Cher, drop your wildest lost cause story in the comments. It's the 1860s and you're in a London telegraph office where a pantelegraph whirs, sending sketches across the Atlantic like ghosts riding undersea cables. These early fax machines, clanking with mechanical menace, spit out smudged images, letters, maps after days of crackling signals. The air's sharp with static, the machines hum a low chant as if summoning messages from the ocean's depths. Each transmission feels haunted, a fragile thread linking continents prone to storms or sabotage. Imagine the wonder a doodle sent from Paris arrives in New York, ink still wet with ambition. Modern vibe. It's the internet's great-grandpa minus the cat videos. Sarcasm check who needs zoom when you've got a fax crawling through the sea, the wires sing, but the ocean's silence is louder. Like share tell us what's the wildest long-distance tech you've encountered. You're a samurai 1868 standing in a Japan where telegraph poles outnumber cherry blossoms and your katana feels heavier than ever. The Meiji era's machines, rifles, faxes, steamships drown Bushido's whispers, turning warriors into relics. The dojo's empty, its silence broken by wire hums and the clatter of progress. Your code of honor fades like ink in rain. You fought for tradition, but technology's the victor, wiring the world while your blade gathers dust. Poetic truth honors a ghost outrun by electric pulses and a nation reborn. Modern take, it's like clinging to a flip phone in a smartphone world, noble but nobody cares. Sarcasm aside, the samurai's spirit lingers a shadow in a wired age. Like share tell us what's the weirdest tech fact you've dug up. You're in Atlanta, 1886, sipping John Pemberton's newfangled drink Coca-Cola. Its bubbles popping like tiny firecrackers on your tongue. This isn't just soda. It's a potion spiked with cocaine from coca leaves and caffeine from cola nuts, brewed to jolt your nerves like a lightning strike. The syrupy sweetness masks a kick that makes your heart race, a nerve tonic sold in pharmacies to cure your woes. Picture the scene you're at a soda fountain, the air sticky with sugar and ambition, as Pemberton's concoction promises vigour in every gulp. Fun fact that cocaine was legal, even trendy, until folks realised it was less cure and more party. Modern vibe. It's the original energy drink with a side of bad decisions. Playful sarcasm who needs coffee when you've got a fizzy high. Like share tell us what's the wildest drink you've ever tried. It's 1887 Paris, and Gustave Eiffel's Iron Tower claws toward the sky, its girders clanging like a blacksmith's fever dream. Locals sneer, calling it a metal monstrosity, a useless and monstrous eyesore for the World's Fair, but you're dodging sparks as workers rivet 18,000 pieces into place. The air's thick with coal smoke, the Seine glinting below, while skeptics bet it'll collapse before it's done. Eiffel undaunted dreams of a beacon to outshine the pyramids, each bolt a middle finger to the haters. Satirical bite. Paris wanted art, not a giant erector set tough luck. Modern take, it's like building a skyscraper to flex on Instagram but with more rivets. The tower rises defiant, creaking under its own ambition. Like share drop your wildest architectural gamble in the comments. You're in an 1886 Atlanta pharmacy, the air heavy with the tang of tinctures as you clutch a glass of Coca-Cola peddled as a cure for your aching head. John Pemberton's brainchild, born as a patent medicine, promises to soothe nerves and banish fatigue with its cocaine-laced fizz. Each sip tingles a strange alchemy of sugar and stimulants, making your pulse dance like a moth near flame. Pharmacists swear it's medicinal, but the buzz feels more like a deal with a devil you can't name. Eerie truth, this tonic was as much drug as drink hooking a nation before anyone blinked. Modern vibe. It's the original Red Bull, but with a felony-level kick. Sarcasm check, feeling sluggish. Pop a Coke and you're practically immortal. Like share tell us what's the sketchiest cure you've ever heard of. It's 1889 Paris, and the Eiffel Tower looms not just a World's Fair flex, but a lightning rod taunting the heavens. Storms rage and bolts of white-hot electricity slam into its iron spire, sizzling the air with a crack that rattles your bones. Gustave Eiffel, ever the scientist, rigged his tower to catch lightning, turning it into a meteorological marvel, while Parisians gape below, half expecting Zeus to take offence. The sky roars, sparks crown the iron giant, and you're caught in the suspense, will it stand or fry? Satirical bite forget art, it's nature's light show free with every storm. Modern take, it's like building a skyscraper just to dare the clouds to fight back. The tower holds a metal middle finger to the tempest. Like share drop your wildest weather-defying structure story in the comments. You're in 1888 Atlanta, the air buzzing with the clink of glasses as Coca-Cola spreads like wildfire, its fizzy grip tightening on soda fountains nationwide. John Pemberton's cocaine-spiked drink, barely 2 years old, outsells Paris's iron giant in fame. with bottles popping open from Georgia to Gotham. The syrup's sweet sting hooks drinkers, each sip a tiny rebellion against the era's dour tonics. Picture soda jerks pouring it fast, the air sticky with sugar and hustle, as this drink conquers faster than any tower could. Playful truth bubbles beat steel, fizzing their way to global domination. Modern vibe. It's viral before X existed a meme you can drink. Sarcasm check, who needs a landmark when you've got a soda that slaps? Like, share, tell us what's the wildest product takeover you've seen. Step into the Gilded Age 1880s, where Coca-Cola's fizz and the Eiffel Tower's iron frame mark a world tilting into chaos and wonder. A soda laced with cocaine races past a tower that dares lightning, each a bizarre emblem of ambition run wild. The air's thick with progress's hum, factories churn, wires sing. Yet something eerie lingers, as if the era's chasing dreams it can't control. Soda fountains bubble, girders rise, and history shifts on a knife's edge, half mad, half brilliant. Haunting truth, this age birthed icons, but their shadows whisper of excess and risk. Modern take, it's like launching a startup in a world already on fire. Reflect then, share what's the quirkiest 1880s fact you've dug up. Like, share, drop it in the comments. Imagine a muddy street in 14th century London, where the air chokes with smoke and the reek of tanning hides. You're in a noblewoman's hall, its walls draped with tapestries that cost less than her true treasure, a wooden box locked tight holding 6 metal needles. Each one gleams like a shard of moonlight hand-forged by a blacksmith who'd sooner sell his soul than botch the job. These aren't just tools, they're power wealth, a dynasty stitched into slivers of iron. Lose one, and you're not just out of sewing aid, you're kissing your status goodbye. The Lady Eleanor sweeps past you, her silk gown whispering envy. She opens the box at her feast, and the room falls silent. Merchants, knights, even the priest lean closer, eyes glinting like thieves. 6 needles each, a fortune lie on velvet, their points sharp enough to pierce ambition. More precious than diamonds, she boasts, voice dripping with pride. You'd laugh, but the math checks out. A single needle could buy a cow, maybe 2. Diamonds pretty but useless when winter's clawing at your rags. You catch a servant's glance, her hands raw from scrubbing pots. She'd kill for one of those needles, not for vanity but survival. Mending a cloak could mean another month without frostbite. Yet here's Eleanor, flaunting them like a peacock, her guests green with want. One night Sir Roger brags he'd trade his warhorse for a 7th. Madness, you think, but his eyes are dead serious. A horse dies, a needle endures sowing futures. The air shifts heavy with whispers. Someone mentions the curse-old gossip about a needle that pricked its owner and brought plague. Eleanor scoffs, but her fingers hesitate over the box. You notice the smallest needle, its tip faintly tarnished, like it's seen too much. The firelight flickers, and for a heartbeat it seems to hum low and wrong. Superstition sure, but in a world where a lost pin could bankrupt a family who's laughing, Eleanor locks the box, her smile tight. The feast resumes, but the needles linger in everyone's mind, sharper than the daggers on their belts. You step outside the street's muck, sucking at your boots. A tailor hurries past, clutching a borrowed needle like it's his child. One slip and he's done. Welcome to a world where a speck of iron outshines a gem and every stitch feels like a gamble with fate. So what's creepier, the obsession, or the fact you're starting to get it? Share your weirdest history fact bet, it can't top this. You're in a cramped workshop in Paris, 1372, where the air's thick with wool dust and desperation. Thomas the tailor, a wiry man with haunted eyes, kneels on the floor, sifting through scraps like a man possessed. His needle, his only needle borrowed from a merchant's wife, is gone. Not misplaced, not dropped, but gone like it sprouted legs and fled. His hands shake clammy as the Seine's banks, because losing it means ruin. That needle's worth more than his shop, his tools, his name. The street outside hums with market chatter, but inside it's just Thomas and his dread. He checks the floorboards, the candle wax, even his own sleeves, as if the needle's playing a cruel jest. It's not just a tool. It's his livelihood, the key to mending cloaks for lords who don't tip. Without it, he's no tailor, just another beggar in a city that chews up the poor. He pictures the merchant's wife, her lips curled in scorn, demanding repayment he can't afford. A cow. 2, he'd have to sell his kids. You hear the crowd before you see them neighbours, drawn by gossip faster than flies to rot. Lost his needle, they whisper, half pity, half glee. In this world, a tailor's shame is public sport like a hanging but slower. Thomas crawls under his table, splinters biting his knees, praying for a glint of iron. Nothing. His heart's a drum, each beat screaming debt, eviction, starvation. Modern life's got its glitches, lose your phone, your job's toast, but this is a crypto crash medieval style. A memory gnaws at him last night, stitching by candlelight. The needle felt off, heavy like it resented his grip. He'd heard tales of cursed needles, ones that slip away to punish the careless. Rubbish, he told himself, but now doubt creeps in cold as a crypt. The room feels smaller, the shadow sharper. Did the needle vanish, or did something take it? The door creaks. The merchant's wife looms her gaze ablade. "My needle," she snaps. Thomas stammers, sweat beading like guilt. The crowd jeers and you wince, feeling the weight of a world where a sliver of metal holds more sway than a man's life. He'll beg, borrow, maybe steal, but the needle's gone and with it his future. Next time you thread a needle, check it twice. Might be cursed. Got a weirder tale, spill it. Step into a frostbitten market square in 14th century York where the clang of blacksmiths drowns out the hawker's cries. You're shoulder to shoulder with peasants and merchants all gawking at Sir Baldwin, a grizzled knight whose chainmail clinks like a purse of coins. He's not here for ale or a new blade. No, this fool's trading his warhorse, a beast worth a small village, for a single needle polished to a wicked gleam. The crowd murmurs, half scoffing, half awed. A horse for a pin, madness, you think, but in this world a needle's sharper than any sword. Baldwin stands tall, his face carved with scars and stubborn pride. The needle rests in the merchant's palm, a sliver of iron that could mend a lord's cloak or stitch a peasant's hope against winter. It's a fair deal, Baldwin growls, handing over the reins of his steed, its breath steaming in the chill. The horse, a loyal beast that carried him through mud and blood, snorts as it's led away. You wince, picturing the battles it won. But Baldwin's eyes are locked on the needle like it's a holy relic. The merchant, a sly fox with a grin too wide, tucks the needle into a velvet pouch. Wise choice, he says, but the crowd's laughter stings. A knight without a horse is a jest, a ballad waiting to be sung in taverns. Yet some onlookers nod, knowing a needle's weight. It's not just thread it pulls, it's power, the kind that keeps families clothed, debts paid, futures sown. You'd trade your phone for a charger and a blackout. Baldwin's just playing the medieval version. As he takes the needle, Baldwin's fingers brush its point, and you swear it hums low and wrong like a plucked string in a silent room. The market's din fades for a heartbeat. He shakes it off, but you catch his glance, doubt, maybe fear. Whispers float through the crowd, cursed needles, ones that prick more than skin. In a world where a lost pin could spark ruin, who's to say? The merchant's already counting his new horse's worth, oblivious or uncaring. Baldwin strides off the needle, tucked close his pride, a fragile shield. The crowd parts, some mocking, others envious. You're left in the square, the air sharp with frost and greed. A needle outshines a warhorse, absurd, yet here you are, half convinced. It's not just iron, it's survival status, a thread through time. Got a crazier trade from history. Drop it below, this one's hard to beat. You're in a dim, stone-walled manor in 14th century Bruges, where candlelight dances on a family's grim ritual. The matriarch Agnes lies dying, her breath rattling like loose coins. Around her bed, her kin clutch a wooden box, its carvings worn smooth by generations. Inside, a single needle passed down through wills like a crown, each transfer sealed with chants to ward off its curse. In this world, a needle's not just a tool, it's a legacy, a blade of fate that could stitch fortune or unravel lives. Agnes's voice, frail but sharp, commands the box opened. Her daughter Marjorie trembles as she lifts the lid, revealing the needle on a scrap of linen. It's unremarkable, its tip dulled by years, yet the room feels heavier, the air thick with wax and dread. You stand in the shadows, an outsider, but even you feel the weight. This needle mended cloaks for lords, saved winters, built the family's name. But whispers cling to it, a great uncle, who pricked his thumb and died, raving a cousin whose crops failed after losing it. Coincidence, try telling that to the priest muttering prayers in the corner. Marjorie's tasked with inheriting it, her hands clammy as she takes the needle. The family chants old words about binding luck and banishing spirits. You catch a flicker in the candlelight like the needle's shadow twitches and your skin crawls. Superstition's a plague here as real as the rats in the walls. Agnes grips Marjorie's wrist, warning her guard it or it guards you. The curse isn't spelled out bad luck death ruin, but everyone knows. Losing it's not an option. It's a debt no one can pay. You think of heirlooms today, grandma's ring a dusty watch. Harmless, right? But this needle's a medieval crypto wallet. One crash from catastrophe. The family's wealth, their standing hangs on a thread. Marjorie tucks it away, her face pale, already haunted. The priest sprinkles holy water, but the room's still cold, the needle's presence louder than Agnes's fading breaths. As you slip out, the manor's silence chokes you. A needle cursed or not rules this house. Got a creepier family heirloom story, share it, this one's stitching nightmares. You're elbow deep in a chaotic market in 14th century Rouen, where the air's a stew of sweat, fish and desperation. Stalls grown under cabbages and iron pots, but the real action's at a corner where a wiry trader Gilles hawks a single needle like it's the Holy Grail. It glints on a scrap of cloth, its point sharp enough to pierce dreams. The crowd merchants, tailors, even a nun with shifty eyes buzzes like flies shouting bids that could buy a flock of sheep. In this world, a needle's not just a tool, it's a ticket to power, and everyone's itching to cash in. Gilles is all grins, and Grease holds the needle aloft, milking the frenzy. Forged by Master Henri himself, he crows though you'd bet he nicked it from a drunk tailor. A burly merchant offers a cow, a tailor counters with 2. You're shoved aside as a scuffle breaks out, fists flying over a sliver of iron. It's Black Friday medieval style, imagine trampling grannies for a PS5 but dirtier. Someone's nose cracks blood mixing with mud, yet Gilles just laughs, pocketing coins from side bets. A needle's worth a fortune sure, but the real profit's in the chaos. You catch a tailor's eye, his hands trembling, desperate to win. He's not rich, just a fool who lost his last needle and knows it's this or starvation. The crowd's a beast roaring for the prize, but there's a chill beneath the noise. Whispers snake through the last needle Gilles sold brought bad luck afire that gutted a shop. The needle glints, and for a moment it feels alive, its shadow too long in the noon sun. You blink trick of the light right, but in a world where a pin's loss means ruin, superstition's no joke. The bidding spikes. A merchant's wife, dripping in furs, tosses a gold ring into the mix. The nun mutters prayers, clutching her rosary like it'll outbid gold. Gilles snatches. The ring declares the sale, and the crowd groans, half relieved, half furious. The tailor slumps, defeated, his future unravelling like a bad seam. You're stuck in the crush, the needle's new owner already parading it like a sceptre. The market churns on, but you can't shake the feeling that sliver of iron's more trouble than it's worth. Ever seen a crazier market deal? Share your wildest history tidbit, this one's a riot. You're crouched in a drafty hovel on the outskirts of 14th century Florence, where winter's teeth sink into every crack. The air's sharp with frost, and you're watching Maria, a peasant woman with hands like knotted roots, thread a borrowed needle through a tattered cloak. It's not hers, she'd need to sell her kids for one, but it's her lifeline. Each stitch, slow and deliberate, pulls the cloth together, a fragile shield against the cold that's already claimed her neighbour's toes. In this world, a needle doesn't just mend. It weaves dreams of survival, one prick at a time. Maria's fingers, red and cracked, fumble in the dim light of a single candle. The thread snaps, and she curses under her breath, glancing at the door. If the tailor who lent the needle catches her wasting thread, he'll demand it back. You feel the weight of her fear lose this chance, and her family's cloaks stay rags, letting winter win. It's not like today, where a torn jacket's a quick fix or a thrift store run. Here are needles, your Wi-Fi, and a blackout, your last shot at staying connected to life. The hovel's quiet, save for the wind howling like a debt collector. Maria's kids huddle under a thin blanket, watching her work with big, hungry eyes. She mutters a prayer not to God, but to the needle, begging it to hold steady. You've heard the tales, needles that slip away cursed to punish the careless. This one feels heavy in her grip, almost resentful, but she shakes off the thought. Superstition's a luxury she can't afford yet. The candle's flicker makes the needle's point look too sharp, like it's watching. She finishes a seam, the cloak less a ruin now. It's not much, but it's hope another week maybe before the cold creeps deeper. You think of the nobles flaunting needle collections, their boxes of iron worth more than Maria's life. She'll return this one at dawn, her hands empty again, her dream stitched into someone else's tool. The injustice burns, but Maria's already on to the next tear her needle, a quiet rebellion against a world that buries the poor. Know a grittier survival story, drop it below this one's raw. You're slinking through a shadowed alley in 14th century Cologne, where the air's thick with the stench of tanneries and the distant clang of church bells. Your heart's pounding, matching the steps of Jacob, a scrawny thief with eyes like a cornered rat. He's clutching a stolen needle, its iron warm against his palm, pilfered from a tailor's shop in a moment of reckless greed. It's not just a tool, it's a fortune worth more than the bread he's starved for all week. But stealing a needle in this world, that's like swiping a crypto key in broad daylight. One wrong move and he's not just broke, he's dead. Jacob ducks behind a barrel, the needle tucked into his ragged sleeve. The alley's a maze of muck and murmurs and he's already hearing the shouts. The tailor's wife, a woman with a voice like a cracked bell, has rallied a manhunt. Thief, she screeches, and the market's alive with torchlight and pitchforks. You feel the walls closing and the cobblestones slick underfoot. Jacob's no mastermind, just a fool who saw a glint of iron and thought it'd change his life. Steal a needle, lose a hand, you think, but the sarcasm's cold comfort when the mob's this close. He moves quick but clumsy, dodging a drunkard's cart. The needle's weight feels wrong, heavier than it should, like it's got a mind of its own. He's heard the stories, cursed needles that slip away, bringing ruin to thieves. Last week a cut-purse lost a finger to a haunted pin. Rubbish, Jacob tells himself, but his grip tightens, sweat stinging his eyes. The alley narrows and a shadow looms, a guard lantern raised. You hold your breath, the needle's point glinting like a traitor in the dark. Jacob bolts heart, hammering the mob's roar at his heels. He's not running for freedom now, just survival. The needle's his only shot, a trade for a boat out of this hellhole, but it's also a noose. You'd laugh at the irony, stealing a sewing tool to stitch a new life only to unravel everything, but the fear's too real. The guard's shout splits the night, and Jacob trips the needle, slipping nearly lost in the mud. He scrambles, clutching it, and you swear it pricks him a tiny sting that feels like fate laughing. He vanishes into the dark, but the hunt's not over. The needle's a beacon, drawing every greedy eye in Cologne. In a world where a sliver of iron outshines gold, there's no hiding. Got a wilder thief's tale, spill it, this one's a heartstopper. You're standing in a grand hall in 14th century Bruges, where chandeliers drip wax and the air's heavy with roast pheasant and ambition. Noblewomen glide through the feast, their silk gowns rustling like whispered secrets, but the real show's in their hands, ornate needle cases carved from bone, each cradling a metal needle that outshines the jewels on their fingers. Lady Beatrice, the host, lifts her case, a gaudy thing studded with pearls, and the room hushes. Her 3 needles, each a small fortune, gleam like captured stars. In this world, diamonds are nice, but needles, they're the ultimate flex, medieval Rolexes for the elite. Beatrice smirks, passing the case to her rival, Lady Clara, whose own set of 4 needles draws gasps. The women preen their voices syrupy with false praise, while knights and merchants crane for a look. You're just a guest, sipping sour wine, but you feel the tension envies a blade here sharper than any pin. A single needle could buy a horse, mend a dynasty's wardrobe, or secure a marriage. Clara's case snaps shut, the click loud as a gauntlet thrown down. It's not a feast. It's a battlefield, and needles are the weapons. You notice a young squire, wide-eyed, staring at the display. He's never seen such wealth, not in gold, but in iron. To him, it's alien, like watching influencers flaunt rare sneakers on your cracked phone screen. But the nobles get it. Needles aren't just tools. They're power hoarded while peasants beg for a stitch. Beatrice boasts of a needle blessed by a bishop, and you roll your eyes. Blessed more like cursed if the whispers are true. One guest mutters about a needle that moved at night, pricking its owner into madness. The hall's too loud to care, but you catch Beatrice's glance, her fingers twitching. The feast drags on, goblets clinking, but the needle cases steal the spotlight. Clara accidentally drops hers, revealing a 5th needle, and the room erupts in murmurs. Beatrice's face sours, she's been outdone. You slip toward the door, the opulence choking you. These women draping themselves in silk-clutched needles that could save lives, yet here they are playing status games. The squire's still staring, and you wonder if he dreams of stealing one. Good luck, those needles are guarded like kings. Know a flashier status symbol from history. Share it, this one's dazzlingly absurd. You're in a smoky forge on the edge of 14th century Nuremberg, where the air's a furnace of soot and molten iron. The blacksmith hands, a bear of a man with hands like charred oak hammers, a glowing rod shaping it into a needle finer than a lord's dagger. Sparks fly stinging your skin, but Hans doesn't flinch. Each strikes a prayer, crafting a tool worth more than the gold in a merchant's vault. In this world, a needle's not just metal, it's art, a sliver of survival, revered like a painter's masterpiece. Hans is no mere smith. He's a legend, his needle stitching the dreams of tailors and nobles alike. The forge roars its heat, a living thing, and you're transfixed by the rod's transformation. Hans works with a jeweler's precision, cooling the metal in a hiss of steam, his eyes narrowed against the glare. The needle takes shape, its point sharp enough to pierce fate. A crowd gathers outside Apprentice's tailor's, even a priest whispering of Hans's craft like it's sorcery. You get it in a world where a lost pin means ruin. This man's a god forging lifelines from fire. It's like watching a coder spin an app from raw data, except one slip here could bankrupt a village. Hans tests the needle, running it across his thumb, a bead of blood proving its edge. The crowd murmurs approval, but you catch a strange note in the forger's hum, low and wrong, like a voice trapped in the flames. Hans pauses his hammer still, and you wonder if he hears it too. Village tales speak of forgers whispering secrets of needles born with curses. Nonsense, you think, but the air's heavy, the shadows too sharp. Hans shakes his head, muttering a prayer, and resumes, but his grip's tighter now. A merchant waits coins, jingling, ready to pay a cow's worth for this needle. It'll end up in a noble's case, flaunted at feasts while Hans wipes sweat and starts again. You marvel at the irony. He creates wealth, but sleeps on straw, his hands scarred for others' glory. The forger's glow fades as he hands the needle over its new owner, grinning like a thief. You step into the cold, the clang of Hans's hammer echoing like a heartbeat. His craft holds this world together, one stitch at a time. Got a wilder story of craftsmanship? Share it, this one's forged in fire. You're in a cramped tavern in 14th century Bristol, where the air's sour with ale and secrets. The fire sputters, casting shadows on villagers, huddled over mugs, their voices low, but electric with gossip. They're dissecting the ruin of the Miller family who lost everything, house crops, hope, after a needle vanished from their care. It wasn't just lost, they hiss. It was cursed, a sliver of iron that brought death and debt. In this world, a needle's more than a tool. It's a lightning rod for whispers and gossip, spreads faster than plague, stitching fear into every ear. The story's fresh. The Millers borrowed a needle to mend sacks, only to find it gone by dawn. Days later, their barn burned and the wife fell ill, coughing blood. The tavern's alive with theories. Old Meg the weaver swears the needle was tainted, pricked by a witch years ago. You lean closer, the table sticky under your elbows, catching the tremor in Meg's voice. She's not alone. Others nod, recalling a tailor who died after losing a similar pin. It's medieval Twitter trending with curses and bad omens, and you're hooked despite yourself. You notice a young lad, barely old enough to shave, clutching a mug and listening wide-eyed. He's heard the tale's needles that vanish to punish greed, their points carrying doom. The fire pops and you swear the room dims the needle's absence louder than the chatter. A woman whispers of seeing a glint in the miller's yard at midnight like the needle moved itself. Superstition's a fever here, and you're not immune. Your skin prickles the tavern's creaking beams, sounding too much like warnings. The gossip spirals, each villager adding a twist. The needle's in the river, the millers sold it. It's cursed by a spurned lover. You'd laugh gossip's cheap, right? But the millers are real, their home ash, their kids starving. A needle did this, or the fear of it, and that's worse. You slip out the night cold, the village humming with hushed voices. In a world where a pin holds power, rumours are the thread that binds and breaks. Know a juicier rumour from history. Drop it, this one's got claws. You're in a shadowed convent in 14th century Ghent, where the air's damp with stone and the faint tang of incense. Sister Agnes, a nun with eyes sharp as thorns, kneels in a hidden alcove, her habit brushing the cold floor. She's not praying, she's guarding a secret, a small iron box tucked beneath a loose slab holding 3 stolen needles. In a world where the church preaches poverty, these slivers of iron are a sin, a hoard that could mend cloaks or buy favours. Agnes's rebellion is silent, stitched into the convent's shadows, and you're the only witness to her quiet defiance. The convent's walls echo with chants, but here it's just Agnes and her prize. She lifts the box, her fingers steady despite the risk. Each needle gleams, pilfered from careless tailors or bribed merchants, a secret kept from the abbess's prying eyes. You feel the weight of her choice. Exposure means exile, may be worse, in a world where a needle's worth a family's winter. It's not greed, it's power, a thread to weave influence in a cloister bound by rules. Think of it as a medieval side hustle, like smuggling crypto past a boss who'd fire you for it. Agnes tests a needle, pricking her thumb, a bead of blood swallowed by the dark. The convent's silence feels alive, the stones holding their breath. You've heard the tales, needles cursed to betray their keepers, slipping away to spark ruin. Last month a sister was whipped for losing a pin, her screams a warning. Agnes scoffs at superstition, but her grip tightens the needle's point, catching the moonlight like a warning. The alcove's shadows shift, and for a heartbeat the box feels heavier, as if the needles resent their cage. You shake it off imagination right, but her eyes flicker with doubt. She hides the box, the slabs scraping like a judgment. The chants resume, and Agnes slips back to her duties, her secret safe for now. You're left in the cold, marvelling at her nerve. These needles could clothe the poor, yet here they are buried for leverage in a holy war of whispers. In a world where iron outshines grace, even nuns play dirty. Got a bolder tale of hidden rebellion? Share it, this one's stitched with guts. You're huddled in a crumbling shack in 14th century Lyon, where winter's howl rips through the walls like a thief. Jean, a widow with frostbitten fingers, clutches a borrowed needle, its point her only defence against the cold that's already killed her neighbour. She's mending a cloak, each stitch a battle to keep her kids from freezing. In this world, a needle's not just a tool, it's a lifeline as vital as Wi-Fi in a blackout, but it belongs to the elite lords and ladies who hoard them like gold while Jean begs for a loan. Every prick of the needle stings a reminder of a world that buries the poor. The shack's air is ice, the candle's flame barely holding back the dark. Jean's hands tremble, the thread snapping as her fingers numb. She can't fail the tailor who lent the needle counts every stitch, and losing it means debt she'll never pay. You feel her desperation the kind that gnaws deeper than hunger. A mended cloak could mean another week, maybe two, before the cold claims her family. It's not like today where a torn jacket's a quick fix. Here are needles, your last stand, and Jean's fighting with borrowed time. She mutters a prayer, lips cracked as the needle bites her skin. The wind screams, and you catch a glint in the needle's point sharper than it should be, like it's watching. Village whispers speak of cursed needles, ones that slip to punish the unworthy. Jean's too tired for tales, but her grip falters, the needle heavy, almost alive. You blink the shack's shadows, twisting, and for a moment the cold feels personal, like it wants her to fail. She shakes it off, stitching faster, her kids' shallow breaths spurring her on. The cloak's patched a fragile victory. Jean returns the needle at dawn, her hands empty again, her survival tied to another's whim. You step into the snow, the sting of injustice sharper than the wind. Nobles flaunt needles at feasts, but for Jean they're a fleeting miracle hoarded by those who don't feel winter's bite. Know a tougher survival story. Drop it, this one cuts deep. You're in a dimly lit warehouse in 14th century Venice, where the air's thick with salt and the creak of ships beyond the walls. Master Paolo, a merchant with a fox's grin, and eyes like polished coins, stands over a locked chest, its iron bands glinting in the torchlight. Inside isn't gold or spices, but a hoard of needles, dozens each, a fortune enough to rival a lord's treasury. In this world, a needle's not just a tool, it's wealth power, a thread through the chaos of trade and winter. Paolo's stash could clothe a city, but he guards it like a dragon, his greed sharper than any point. He opens the chest just a crack, and you catch the gleam of iron, each needle nestled in cloth like a relic. His fingers, soft from counting coins, hover over them possessive. You're just a hired guard, your sword heavy, but you feel the pull. Each needle could buy a horse, a house, a life. Paolo's no fool. He trades them for favours, brides, even silence his wealth sown into the city's underbelly. It's like a modern tycoon hoarding rare stocks, except this stash could save or sink a family. Gold's nice, you think, but needles last. The warehouse is quiet, save for the drip of seawater through the stones. Paolo recounts a tale a rival who tried to steal his hoard, only to vanish his ship lost to a storm. He chuckles, but his eyes dart to the chest, and you wonder. Village whispers speak of cursed needles, ones that betray their keepers, pricking fortunes into ruin. The torch flickers, and the chest shadow seems to shift the needles glint too bright, like they're watching. You scoff superstitions for peasants, but Paolo's hand lingers hesitant, as if the hoard hums with secrets. He locks the chest, the clank echoing like a vow. You're dismissed, but the air's heavy. Paolo's greed a weight you carry into the night. His needles could mend 1,000 cloaks, yet they're buried here, fueling his empire. In a world where a pin outshines a crown, wealth is a dangerous stitch. Got a greedier tale from history? Share it, this one's locked tight. You're in a moonlit grove outside 14th century Toledo, where the air's sharp with pine and the flicker of candles. A circle of women cloaked in secrecy huddles around a crude altar, their hands busy with needles and thread. They're not mending clothes, but weaving luck, each stitch a plea to bind fortune and banish ruin. In this world, a needle's more than iron, it's a charm, a blade against fate, and these rituals, half prayer, half defiance, are as vital as bread. You're an outsider hidden in the shadows, but the weight of their hope pulls you in. The leader, Marta threads her needle with bloodied